Dave, do you pay attention to any like the magazine predictions?
I tried, we're on vacation, moving out, and it's in the airports, and so my wife will kind of point, I'll go the opposite way, like that. If anything shows up on your phone,
you got to realize in material money, guys are making.
You kind of answered it a lot. What is Ashton Hawkins' status?
Should be any day. I have not checked my phone today. I'd anticipate someone would have told me if something would happen, but it could be any time. It's prior to July 4th to right after, so we're right in the meetup when we should know. So I'm very hopeful that some good news coming back.
Did Baylor or did you submit a waiver for him?
Yeah.
I've always said any good team that I've been on, whether the team was successful, the individual was successful.
Oh, I don't know. This team's going to be ready for having a great run tomorrow. Making all the times, and there's no one thrown up after the run, and we're finishing through the line that we got. And so I think there's so many little things like that are really in turn big things. And I feel like the guys know that. I feel like our team knows that. I feel like the leaders that are here today know that. And we were talking earlier, the focus is on little things like that. And those little things are in-house, really big things. It's crazy how it can turn. I know for us in 21, it happened. I was talking with Kalani last year. It happened with his BYU team, where all of a sudden, kind of the uphill climb, tough stuff, became a downhill, going real fast, fun, easy stuff. And so we want to get to that type of flow again. And it just takes a way conscious effort of hey man, all this stuff that's out here, keep it out here, get our focus right where it needs to be. I think Sawyer, KT, Josh, in particular, are guys that really help with that.
Have any kind of a decal or patch for Alex Foster?
We are, yeah. So we're still working on what exactly that's going to look like, but we're aiming to do that. I think, that whole, it's just, the communication with his family and with our team, and just the emotions that all go with that are ongoing, and so it's just such a sad thing. And so I think to have the ability to kind of have him with us and honor him in a way that's real respectful moving forward is something that we're looking at doing.
You guys have a couple of recruits from our Tech 7 area that brought Kate Knight as running back, Paul Peacock is back in the defensive backs. What's the initial thoughts on those guys and what you hope they bring?
Talented, hardworking. I think they're both very humble people, and are coming in to improve and learn. And there hasn't been anything where I've seen them not finish first in whatever they're doing. They're competing and they're battling and they're winning, And so I think so far so good. And so there are going to be opportunities for both of those two to contribute and to do their thing. And so we want to provide them the lungs and the strength and the stamina and all of it to do it. We're doing that right now. Yeah, there's, I think anytime you do that, you kind of have to go, hey, so this is the success that we had, and this is with this group. And now we've got a different group, even though there's returners coming back. There's a guy that was blocking and had success, but now he's a different person. This year is not last year. And so to find ways that we can kind of move the offense forward is something that Spad does a great job with, and I know that has been forefront for him, and moving people around. And so outside guys playing inside, moving outside, the more motion to get the matchups that we want. I think Sawyer, his ability to identify, the coverage shell, right? People trying to play too high on them, and the tilt that they'll do to spin a safety down and seeing it, a head nod and a glance goes to the X, and it's a missed tackle and it's out. Those are all things that I know just from seeing it in spring, it's difficult to defend. It's difficult to kind of get over to the other side of it. And so I think, Spav, Sawyer, just their work together has made it to where they're a tough offense to get got. And so I think to continuing to isolate those matchups that they got, continuing to identify the pre-snap so that they can win on the post-snap is something that we're going to continue to push.
Specifically talking about the 4 or 5 offensive right.
Well, I think for them, it's like all these other things tie into that. I think like their ability when they're at their best, when they're double teaming and running off the ball, and there's tempo behind it. But I think to get to those situations, there has to be the explosive play, the momentum plays, and everything else. And when I think of our line, I think it's the 12th or 13th play of a drive, and ball carrier got 5 yards, and they're going to push him forward for an additional 3 or 4. And so to get to that phase, there has to be that first punch to kind of open to get the hands down, right, so that we can get the knockout shot up top. And I think these things that we're talking offensively is a way that we can do that and put the offense back in the running game where we can close stuff out.
Coach, you spoke about building relationships with your recruits in high school and about building a team that way. Specifically, Central Texas feels like it's been a windfall for y'all over the past several months. What has gone into that, and will that continue over however long?
Yeah, I think a couple things there would be like we have the money to compete with really talented guys. I think we've got the relationships that go all the way back for years, and I think you wish with some of the guys that came up here recently that moved on, that from locally they went to a different school or a school in our conference, not our school. I wish the relationship started stronger all the way back for them too, but while that was happening, we had really kind of our hooks in a lot of the guys that are coming up right now. So you're seeing some of the fruits of the labor of however many years that they're going, just the high school, the families, the kids, all of it. And so that's something that we want to be able to be so much better at, and it's been something that's been a failure for me and for us. So to be doing a better job at it is a start, but we want to be at a whole other level with it. So we'll see.
Obviously, a great end to the season last year down the stretch, but how do you guard against, a clean slate, a 0-0 start this year, and then what can you maybe take from this year late last year?
It would be what happens when we play disciplined football, what happens when our best players play their best, when they show up. I think those are areas of growth for this team. I look at Michael Trigg, and I look at his ability to be such a playmaker, and there'd be a half here, there'd be a series there, there'd be a quarter over here. I look at Jackie Marshall, and Jackie would take over a quarter here, or be in a couple series making plays there. But now, right, to get it to where we got to depend on Michael Trigg for 4 quarters all the way through. We got to depend on Jackie Marshall all the way through. And there's areas of growth for them, so to be the contributors that we need to be. So the focus is really on that, as opposed to any of the stuff from last year. If anything, if they did it, we can do it. And so let's get started with it.
Coach, talked to Devin and Jackie just about the long there, and they both put a lot of work that they put in, and obviously they don't want to leave. How do you build a culture where players want to play and stay?
And it's hard. I think if you invest in players and you really do care about them, and you spend the time to kind of get the connection the way it needs to be, and you're on this journey with them. I wish that all of it would be like this, but a lot of it is like this. Especially with young people, and especially with life coming at them as fast as it comes. And so I think like a lot of times the qualities and everything that it takes to build those relationships the strongest when it is like this could be an arrow pointed this way, right? To win immediately and to turn this thing around and to win right now. and to kind of get the best quality team that you can. The arrows point that way. So that's hard. So you have to live in that world right there. And I think prior to it, a couple of years ago, we were living in this world. So now to add this to it and hold the tension of that, it's just really, really hard to do. And so I think, we probably, one of the reasons why I think we probably won 3 games was that connection that we had, and all the time was spent on it. So to have football and make football important, and the monies that go into football, and really push that, and they still keep the relationships. Has been something we're trying to do.
A guy that's kind of you think has that ability to break out this year, just hasn't had that chance, just sort of a little bit less noticed.
I'm excited for Phoenix Jackson and what he can do. He's very talented. As spring went, was very disruptive, and just the flashes that he would do, just so disruptive. And so there was times where it was unblockable, and then the ability to cover people out of the backfield and cover tight ends and mismatches and all those things he was able to handle. I know right now there's player runs 7-on-7, and he and Trigg are going back and forth all the time. And so Phoenix, we need Phoenix to stay healthy. But Phoenix has the ability to really go and make a big push. And then the other guy I would probably say is Michael Trigg. I don't know if Michael, I thought there's a Houston game for him. There's the TCU catch for him. But he's capable of so much more. He is a game changer. And his work ethic and his focus and all of it is the best it's been. And we'll take it. We're excited to get to that point where he can be his best, day in, day out. I think that'll be the difference for him.
So Aaron has made the comment that the Auburn game is going to set the tone for the season and kind of be the standard. What are your thoughts on that game being the standard that you guys start right out of the gates week 1?
Well, I could see that our guys probably feel that. I think there's an urgency and the intensity with how they're working this summer and how they're holding guys accountable and how they're, I think this past week there was 2 freshmen that kind of slipped up and were late with something. A lot of these guys that are here today called them out and kind of got into them some. And all of it was really good. I think those would, in the past, those would be things that a coach would have to do. And now we're having players that are way out in front doing it. And I feel the reason for that is all the growth of it. These guys have been here for a while. But 2 would be knowing what's right at the start of it, But I think, for us, it's like the ability for that game to play well and then move on to the second is always a positive. But if we play well, don't come out with a win, there's an opportunity to know where we're at, to know what we got to improve, and I think we've all seen that we can make corrections and we can make adjustments in the season. We'd much rather do that in the beginning of the season than towards the end. So I think that gives us a great chance to give it our best shot and go for a big time win, but more than anything, find out where we're at and what we need to do.
But kind of building on those characteristics you just mentioned, you had secondary.
It's a really deep team. We're trying to play a lot of guys.
Hungry. Yeah, hungry. They love ball and they want more and they want to be respected.
Bringing in Walker White to the quarterback room, kind of what has he added to that room, and how has he maybe even been able to push through?
Yeah, so Walker's a great physical presence, and he's got a great learner's mindset. I mean, there can never be enough for him, so he's always up trying to get more, trying to understand the whys and to master the hows, And then I think he and Sawyer is a great complement. With Sawyer, there's always the ability to run him and to throw it, run it, and everything. And we get the same thing with Walker, and even a bigger a bigger dude. And so I think the run with Walker was something that you have to account for at all times. The dude's like 235 pounds more than this, and so and then he can run and he's fast and all that. And so I think there's definite weapons at his disposal, and so finding ways to get the plays that he can really accomplish at the highest level and get that where that can kind of be packaged with him is something that we're doing.
What kind of a comfort do you get having
And so I could see why they were multi-year contracts.
No, you do. I think there's just so much that goes into just just a simple play. You just don't run plays. It's like a whole thing. Is it an overfront? Is it an underfront? Is it a tight look? Is it pressure from the field? Is it all these things? And so the quarterback's got to get up there and then see all of it and then just get you out of a bad play. And I think there's so much that goes into that. You wish it could be like that, but it don't happen like that. And so Sawyer can see all of it. And then, the thing that probably separates him as much as anything is his ability to make the big play when he needs to make the play. When he needs to sit in the pocket and make that throw, he can do that. When there's pressure coming in his face, he can take that shot, get that ball off. And so I think so impressed with him and potential for just a great start of the season. He's working towards it. He's pretty focused on that start.
How would you describe, as a defensive coach, the challenge stopping quarterbacks in this league?
My expectations were.
It's difficult. I think offensively very innovative. I think I was talking to a couple guys earlier. I think there's at other conferences I've been. There's plays that offensively you wouldn't call, or I didn't feel that they would call because of if this doesn't work, this might come back and look bad for me or for us. And our people in this league have no problem calling us plays, and so it's just right out the gate. You're getting like the shots to the heart, and then I think you have along with that, you have the abundance of teams that are going for it on fourth down and the analytics. So you're talking about a way explosive offense with a quarterback that's way savvy. Some of them, where Sawyer's maybe a little bit different, is his length and his height. And some of these guys maybe are a little bit sawed-off dudes, but are smart, can see everything, can get them in the right play, right? And then they have this innovative scheme to go with it. And then they have the fact that it's like you're playing Army or Navy. So they're going to go for it on all these fourth downs, right? And so there's really second down is really first down, third down is really second down, and all this thing. And so it just becomes a very difficult proposition. And so I think the offenses in this league, very talented and very hard to stop.
Coach, you had a close game in Cincinnati a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Winning in the Big 12 just in general, is it underestimated?
Very hard to do. Yeah, very hard to do. Yeah, I think it's the road environments, the new league, the league expanding the way it is. It could be new environments. And, I think the coaching in this league, I think, is underrated. The level of coaches. There are, I think there's always staffs that have recruiters, then staffs that have coaches, and I think the Big 12 has got coaches. And so I think the advent of the tablet and seeing the plays has only accelerated kind of the schematic part of it, and then forces your players to have to be able to be that much on it when you have to detour this and that, and so it's very difficult. I have a lot of respect for Cincinnati and what they're doing. I know that it's going to be an angry team. I don't know if it's so much that. I think it's that they want the opportunity to play and to be at their best. I very much feel it's that. I think it's like the opportunity to be on stage where the play comes to them and they make the play because they know that's them, and they know that that's what they've been trained to do, and they know that people are depending on them to do that, and they feel that love. Like, that's the thing. And so I very much feel like given an opportunity, we'll get in the position we're going to see that.
Coach, I'm curious, Joey's sitting right here. Y'all worked together a long time. I'm just curious, your thoughts on what they've been able to do with recruiting and portal and NIL and offense.
Yeah, excited for them. I know that. I think it's really good that a team that's a blue blood team, I guess, is out there recruiting at such a high level, and I think it's good for college football. I think it helps our league. I think if you get this competitiveness in recruiting nationally and then in our league, it only makes our league better.
Defense certainly took some lumps at times last year. Do you feel any pressure on that side of the ball to take a step forward? How do you do this?
Yeah, there's you always feel every day of your job is you feel the pressure. But I think like the thing we have to do on defense is to really identify a starting point, a starting coverage, and then build off of it with the varying looks. So it all looks the same, but it's going to play different post-snap. And I think, we've been able to do that. I think, it's helpful that we went through last year and had to create a lot of stuff last year. And it wasn't created out of the blue, but it was just had stuff that I hadn't really done before. Just because a lot of the stuff I had done before just doesn't fit the game as it is right now. And so to come up with stuff, and then to build it, and then to see what works and what doesn't, and refine it, and then spend a bunch of time talking about it, grouping things into, hey, I like these versus this, or like this in that situation, and all that. That's way above and beyond where it was a year ago. So what that does is that allows for coaches to not get in the ways of players starting, and so that allows them to kind of get their feet settled and play. And so I think that's an advantage. I think we brought in some good players that can help us pass rush on the edges. We've got way speed and athleticism on the inside linebacker. We've got depth on D-line. And we've got guys that have the ability to cover in the corner and second and safety market, and we've got to be able to get them to do that. I feel like Paul Gonzalez is a big part of that. So I think we've addressed the things. We've got to kind of continue that process and get it out. Much like the run game, kind of clicking and the offensive line kind of taking that step and kind of change the season for us. I feel that our secondary can do the same for this team.
Dave, related to that, whether it's time management or whatever, you feel like having a season under your belt, you have a better handle on handling the defense as well as being head coach?
Yeah, I think, at times last year it would be, hey, so we've got a staff meet, so here's the things we want to hit, here's the topics, and it's kind of listed out. Maybe there's a couple clips that I want to show. Here's a defensive staff meet. Here's the itinerary, here's the clips, here's the topics we want to hit. Then you have a defensive unit meeting. Here's the itinerary, here's the topics, here's all of it. Then you have a linebacker meeting. Here's so like that would all be on a page. You have to make the cut-ups for each of those things. And I think if you could, I guess, go through it and just like, hey man, I got it up here, I'm just going to roll. But to have it all lined up, it's very time consuming. You can drown. And so I think, having done that and having to build off of stuff that went through what we did last year and kind of knowing what to do and what to stay away from, I think it's very helpful going into this year.
Dave, y'all didn't lose many guys to the transfer portal, but you did lose Brendan Beck right after spring football. How disappointing was that for you, and how did y'all address that kind of the summer?
Yeah, it's I wish Brendan the best. I think he's someone that He's got a lot of potential on the football field. He's got a great heart. I think there's an energy that he brings that I know that Florida is going to benefit from. And so I wish him and his family the best. But I think we were able to get 2 defensive tackles. One as a nose, the other as an interior guy that could possibly play an edge. A little that came around that time. And so I feel good about those matchups. I think we've got, you hate to say it, but we lost Alex Foster too, and so I just think there's an opportunity for the guys that came in that can contribute because I feel like we're confident in what they can do based upon their film. And then there's going to be an opportunity for some of our guys that have been in the system, that have been on the team, to take that next step and play. And so we're really trying to push towards that, whether it's a Tizino or someone like that, to be able to take that next step. I think Cooper Lance moving outside is probably a better fit for him than where he's been inside. We're counting on those guys being able to play some valuable minutes and contribute. But I feel good about our depth. I don't think that's going to be an issue. We haven't been at a school where you've got 3 nose guards that you feel really strong about playing at any point in time. And so I think we have that now. Like DK Cowley would be a guy that has been here, that's his time to kind of step up and play. And so I think we're in a good position up front. Yeah.
A lot of coaches talk about
that was important to bring somebody like that.
What do you think the percentages are? What makes the defense more effective? Is it scheme or personnel or personnel?
Yeah.
And is Baylor where they want to be from a personnel standpoint?
Yes, we're the closest that we've been. Yeah, I think the depth that we've got is the best that it's been. I think I feel like front 7-wise, and then secondary-wise, I feel that there's talent there. There's the ability to kind of take that next step with certain groups. There's a confidence level that's got to be able to come through. And as coaches, we got to find the right buttons to push to get to where our guys are playing confident. Like Sawyer made such a push towards the end of the season. It had a lot to do with confidence. Our O-line was blocking people 6 yards downfield. Had a lot to do with confidence, And so I think we've got to be able to have that, especially in the back end of our defense.
Last thing I want to say, a number of the players, the defensive players, mentioned how confident they are in their teammates' abilities.
Yes.
With them being together a pretty short time with the transfers coming in, where did that confidence come from in the ability of their team?
I think they compete every day, and so they see them every day, and they see the wins, And if it's a loss, they see what they could do better, and they're always vouching for them. And so I think, for us to show up and kind of be that guy on Saturday, to have the ability to do that at some point prior to that, you have to be that guy. It doesn't just come out of nowhere. And so you have to kind of be that guy somewhere. And so the more competitive practices, the more intentional we are with those matchups, and we bring that guy out.
Have you heard from any high school coaches about starting on the opening day of high school?
Yeah, that was something that I know when that came up. I knew that was a part of what TV contracts and everything. I think that was something that initially I tried to see, is there any possible way we can not do this? And so there wasn't a way.
Speaking of that defensive depth, Devin Turner, what's his status, and if he misses any time, who steps up?
No, yeah, he does. He tore his ACL. So what's unfortunate with that is that it's the last practice of spring. We're not scrimmaging, we're not hitting, we're not doing anything because we want to avoid that. And it's the very last drill of spring. He's back. He's in a back pedal, opens up, plants, and he goes. So anytime a guy goes and there's no contact, they'll feel like we know what that is. And so he has another year. We'll have him for next year. So he's going to be kind of a student coach this year. But I feel really good about Tyler Turner, and he's in a position right now where he's making plays, can contributing, commanding the back end, talking and getting it all communicated. I feel good about his status, where he's at now, but where he can go.
Just curious, with the coaches being in the new college football video game, have you seen your likeness?
Oh no, I very much don't want to do that. Yeah, I'll try to avoid that for as long as I can. Yeah.